This story is called The Descent from the Short Stories subreddit, written by Disordered Momentum. The rime on the rocks caught bright glints beamed from the sun behind. John squinted even behind the shades. The day hit right. He drew his head back, stretching his diaphragm down, then watched as a fresh white cloud of breath effused upwards to the bright blue sky. "Bit fresh," he said, flicking his head sideways towards Lisa. "-20, she replied, with a nonchalance like she hadn't checked the forecast on 3 different sites. Only with the wind chill. Feels toasty, but it does have to be a bit of a bite." "I'm bloody freezing," she said, pulling her folded arms in onto her body to emphasize the point. "Don't know you're born. You're not even shivering. Come on, let's get down then." They moved tentatively near the apex of the ridge where the ice wrung as the crampons poked their way into the crust. Next, they crossed the lee slope at the saddle, yomping straight through a soft, pristine cornice while the spindrift sandblasted their red ears. Dropping off the ridge, they picked a line approximating the directness of the gully descending from the saddle, but avoiding the difficult ground at the bottom of it. They felt ease in their bodies once more when they hit polystyrene ball-sintered snow over an unyielding crust. Moving was easy, and taking long, deliberate steps reminiscent of a wading bird towards the Scots pine forest beneath they continued. John had an idea. "Shall we make it a bit more fun?" Lisa had a pretty good inkling of his intentions here, but there was a residual anxiety that John just might define fun the way he did in the text at 2 a.m. on a Sunday once. Well, depends what you're thinking. Let's slide. In truth, he wouldn't normally even consider it on this steep terrain, but Lisa would make it a lot of her consummate ease climbing, skiing, boarding, and she just looked underwhelmed today. It was time to open a different playbook. This could be fun. This could be enough for her. "It's a bit steep," she grimaced. "Be right, got the axe in that." "You rested before?" "I've rested before, Lisa. Look, I might follow you and walk down." This wasn't what he wanted, and his eyes dropped from her face. They followed down a small lump of slab that his crampon dislodged, that zipped down until imperceptibly far. Still, this endeavor was to be seen through. In some, the subtle fear weighed less than the slight of humiliating climb down. John sat down. "Are you not taking your crampons off?" Lisa's tone was disagreeably irritable now. John drew his ice axe from his side and let the pole drop through his hand. Holding it up at his right shoulder, crossed his chest diagonally. He reddened. "They can come off when we're off this. I'm not putting them back on." And so without further word, John started sliding, picking up surprising speed in seconds. He held his legs up, but flying off a little bump sent their momentum down, then the foreseeable. His crampon dug in and stopped. The rest of his body continued its journey forward, flipping him over, nearly back to standing, and then forward into the abrasive snow. He fended off the force of the impact with the axe. The following moments were a pure blur, to be remembered even seconds later only as a series of reactive thoughts, untranslatable to the narrative of the rapid descent. Bump, coccyx, tuck, roll, axe swing, pivot, slide, flip to the belly, ice burn, dig in, slow, come on, slow, stop. Straight to his feet, winded and nauseated, it wasn't long until he had doubled over. He looked up at Lisa, and she still had her mouth frozen open. He had gone pretty close to some rocks that looked like they would rip his guts out of anyone tumbling over them. He blustered, shouting, "Yeah, you're best off taking the steady way down, I reckon." By the time she caught up, he had found a rock to sit. In that moment, the whole world was suffused deeply with energy and magic, the blue sky vivid, the white snow dazzling. He felt vital, bursting with a newfound gratitude for a life that transcends the material and the everyday, and she was ever more radiant to him. But maybe more than anything, he also felt a silly prick for nearly throwing his life away on a triviality. She sat next to him as distantly as possible on the rocks. "Well, that was a bit daft of me, but it's nice to be up here. Wish I could do this with you more. It's just there are so many things in the way." His voice cracked and a tear just peeked from below the sunglasses. She didn't notice. That was a short story called The Descent by Disordered Momentum, and it can be found on the Reddit Short Stories. Thank you again so much for listening. See you next time.